Hello, everybody, and welcome to Purse Cheese, a podcast where we talk about food, culture, feelings, history, taste buds, memories, and a whole lot more. That's Peggy Baldwin.
And that's Katie Thomas.
And we're so happy to have you with us today. And because today is our first ever episode, we're going to start by sharing a bit about ourselves and then some of our experiences with food and how these have shaped our lives.
Okay, now, Katie, first, we really need to stop and introduce why we've named Purse Cheese. So we've been wanting to do this for so long. And then once we decided to, we're wondering what names to use. And this came about because...
Oh, thanks for asking. Purse Cheese actually came about because many years ago, I was living in a situation where I liked to go out with my friends, as I still do, but I didn't have very much money. And I would tend to be in a bar situation with my friends and say, I am hungry. I don't want to order something and pay this overpriced thing. So I began carrying cheese in my purse because I already had a cheese knife in my purse
That's fabulous.
for self-defense. So over the years, friends have noticed this and thought it was strange / funny. And then now it's to the point now where Bob will ask if I have purse cheese at the gym in my purse. So.
Absolutely. Well, okay. So my earliest memory of this was we were doing an underground workout in the back of a building during COVID outside, and everybody finished and we're like, wow, this would be a great opportunity for us to have a picnic. And then all of a sudden you're like, oh, I have purse cheese. And none of us had ever heard of this amazing thing. And I think that is one of the things I love about you is you broaden us to these fabulous new terms and concepts.
Well, thank you so much.
You're
I guess
welcome.
that's true. Yeah, I probably just whipped it out and said, everybody knows this, right? Because some of my friends knew about my purse cheese, but that might have been...
That was the first time for us.
Yeah.
For sure. And it was fabulous cheese. So
Wow.
it was a great experience altogether.
Well, I am so glad that you remember that. And that's our name of our podcast, because this is, like I said, it's about food, but it's about so much more.
Yeah.
And you and I got into this just because as we got to know each other over the years, we've talked a lot about food because we both have a passion for food, and we just have gone in all these directions. There's so much to talk about, and I would love to hear kind of your background, like just some things that come to mind for you about how you grew up. What are some immediate food associations, thoughts, memories?
Yeah. So I love the conversations we get to have because you have such understanding of food from a very different place than I do. Because I come at it and I am somebody that usually microwaves things and gets dinners that are put together, but I watch television shows that have to do with food and I love them, and food competitions and everything. So I'm a foodie in like entertainment wise, but I'm not very good at cooking and, doing all that kind of thing and prepping. And I'm hoping that you rub off on me because that is something that I really want in my life. I was born in Scranton, Pennsylvania, which I tell everybody that now that's famous because of The Office. But that's just one exciting fact that I feel like I can share at a dinner party and people laugh. So because, you feel awkward sometimes at dinner parties. But and then grew up on a farm in West Virginia. So I've been on a production end of food as far as that goes, and growing things and raising cattle and chickens and things like that. And so that was a really great experience. And now we're in Montana, and I find that life is busy. And so as much as I really want to make my own food, we have some great restaurants that are here, and we have fabulous chefs that have opened amazing places that the food is a plethora that we get to choose from. But I still find, because I'm busy, I'm watching television shows and I'm dreaming about someday going to a food and wine festival, and I'm eating my microwaved dinner. But that's me. You have so much more to share on related to food.
Well, I don't know about more, but I think you're right. You and I, we are different types of foodies, but that's just, the way that we grew up. And we should have said we're in Montana. I was born and raised here, and my parents did not really cook. So I grew up not unlike what you just described. My mom
Mm.
was kind of a microwave, let's do some TV dinners kind of person. Um, and it was, many decades ago, we didn't have the restaurants we have today. Bozeman, for anyone listening, is now very famous. It did not used to be that way, but it's brought all kinds of stuff here
Yeah.
culturally that we never used to have. But I think what changed for me, there's a couple things, but my mom is a French teacher and she moved us to Paris, France when I was 13 years
So
old.
cool.
It was cool and scary, but it's quite different from Bozeman, as you might imagine. But that opened up a whole new world of not just food, but how a person, how you eat food, how you buy food, how I thought about food. This all changed, like for example, just every day, it's a huge international city, and you usually have to take a subway or walk to your school or your job, and you will pass open air markets all year round. And every day you will pick up what you're going to cook that night. It's very fresh. It's always sold by the person who grew it or made the cheese or whatever, and totally different. It just and not to mention seeing like pieces of animal like hanging, that kind of thing.
Where
Very
you know
different.
it's fresh and you know
Yeah,
where it's
and
coming from.
and you
It's
can
like
see
going
it.
to farmers markets is one of my favorite things to do.
Yes, that's one of my other favorite things as well. And then the other big thing was when I went to college. I had been a vegetarian in high school, and then I went to college near Seattle, where the culture was much more advanced than in Bozeman. And I was introduced to basically the concept of eating meat that had not been raised in a warehouse and slaughtered inhumanely.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was able to, and I met a lot of people that taught me how to cook and taught me about growing things because I had never had that experience. And so that translated to post college. Over the years, I've just gotten more and more like crazed about food and like loving it and growing it. And when I say growing, I just mean a vegetable garden. It's really hard, especially where my property is now located geographically. The sun isn't very good for a garden, but I just grow vegetables. And if I didn't have crazy pets, I would have chickens, but instead I get eggs from a local friend. And
you have crazy pets.
And I have very crazy pets.
We'll talk about this sometime. I think that's a good idea.
Yes, everybody mostly seems to like these stories of the crazy pets, but yeah, I guess the last thing I'll say is that I began writing about food because I'm also a freelance writer, and I got into it kind of by accident. Just Bozeman's it was a small town, and I knew someone who knew someone. I got a job at a local paper, and requested basically I would like to write about restaurants and food, and they said sure. And that was, I don't know, 15, 20 years ago. So I've had a lot of experience at this point with writing about farmers markets, about local farmers and ranchers, about restaurants, all kinds of things related to food, which just feeds my love for it. And going to farmers markets and getting to know the people that sell there year after year. It's just a really big passion of mine.
I think that you are kind of a celebrity around here, a little bit. You do a lot of writing. You have met a lot of people. And through those relationships, that's just broadened your grasp of that. And that's just a really cool aspect of something else we hope to bring into this podcast is being able to interview different people that are in the food industry or have that relationship with food that we can just highlight.
Exactly. Yeah. I would like to use this opportunity to kind of promote some of the work that's being done in our state for food and agriculture and ranching. It's really remarkable how far we've come. And the products the food products that are available to us that so many people aren't aware of.
Yeah.
And that I think, I'm a big fan of you get what you pay for and you are what you eat. I really believe that. And that does not mean that I don't still microwave things because I am busy too. But
okay, I'm not the only one.
Yeah,
Yay.
Yeah. I think nobody out there could say, except for maybe my ex-boyfriend from college who still lives in his car, and
does not own a microwave. So
does not own a
that is
microwave.
why he's not microwaving.
Yeah. So it's just a priority to me, but I understand the realities of people's lives, but it's becoming more and more accessible.
Yeah.
For the average person to eat locally and or whatever, whatever is important to you, to support a local farmer, to eat more vegetables, whatever it is that a person is going for is much more possible now in Montana. So many of the food books I've read are in places that like I just keep reading over and over this Barbara Kingsolver book, Animal Vegetable Miracle.
Mm-hmm.
It's in the Appalachians and it's a completely different climate. She's talking about growing like melons. You can't do that here. I mean, maybe you can in a major greenhouse, but she can grow things in her garden, for example, that just by herself that you can't grow here. It's not possible. It's too cold. Our growing season's short. Again, unless you have like some high scale operation, which people are starting to have. But I don't know, eating in season, all that kind of stuff is so much more at the forefront now.
Absolutely. And I think knowing you for as many years as I have, you live that philosophy. You're not just saying that philosophy, that's something that you feel deep within you and it shows in the choices that you make. And they're not always easy choices. These are not the cheapest things that are out there. These are not the easiest to obtain, but you go out of your way to pursue the things that you believe in. And I like that. I kind of love that about you.
Thank you. Well,
so we have some questions.
Yes.
And so we figured that we would answer a few questions on here, and I'll ask you the first question. Is that good?
Yes.
Okay. Fine. So what are some of your earliest food memories?
Oh, I like that because I have so many, but I'll try to pare it down. Well, one of my first food memories would definitely be Audrey's Pizza takeout, which is, I don't think Audrey's exists, or maybe it does on 7th. But the old Audrey's Pizza is where the cat eye is now. And anyway, they used to do takeout spaghetti with meat sauce, and they also had pizza. For some reason, we did not have pizza in my home. We were never given pizza.
Wow.
And so my mom would, on a busy night, my mom would get done teaching school and do whatever she, errands. And then sometimes she would grab 2 metal or tinfoil things of this hot spaghetti with meat sauce and bring it home. And it was like Christmas. My sister and I would get so excited. And it was just a big deal. And which makes me laugh now because I remember being aware of McDonald's, but like, that was also not really allowed. So this was like the most like fast food we were getting. It was very exciting. And also listening to my first record, which was the Bangles, Walk Like an Egyptian was on there.
That.
And
yes.
I think the album is called Different Light though. But I remember coming home after school, putting that on and making myself a milkshake with vanilla ice cream and milk, just churning it up myself and just kind of hanging out and rocking out by myself. And I was in elementary school, so that tells everybody how old we are, approximately. But
don't do the math. Just
don't worry about it. And then when I was sick, I vividly can still taste this, and I still want this when I'm sick. My mom would her go-to was Lipton's chicken noodle soup and saltines. And so now that is a major comfort food for me. Even though it's not really food, like now I'm like, this is kind of nothing, but that's probably why it's good when you're sick, because you can't handle, and maybe you need the salt. I don't know. But like, that's a great example of me not going out of my way to eat healthy because it's like processed food, but it's one of my main childhood memories. And because I would then just, like I said, it became a comfort food. And that's a big thing for me. A lot of foods to this day are about comfort, kind of like I eat for pleasure and health and comfort for sure. And that started at a young age. My parents split when I was 8. And I think that kicked it into high gear, because then my mom she wasn't able to cook. She already wasn't cooking much, but it just got worse. There were more TV dinners because she was working as a school teacher, and I have a sister. So, the two of us would kind of forage a lot, and and we were getting older. So we started to cobble stuff together. And I definitely, I think that's when I began eating the same things over and over when I was cooking for myself. So that just because it was familiar and it was comforting, and also I was in control. I was the one making whatever it was I was going to eat. And I think I still do that to this day, my poor husband.
I think there's a lot of control related in food. I think back to my earliest food memory, and I just remember I was involved in kind of a traumatic car accident. And although I wasn't hurt really bad, I was just a kid walking across the street, and drunk driver hit another one. And thankfully I came out unscathed, but it was really shattering to me. And so my dad took me out for ice cream and kind kind of just soft serve. It might have been McDonald's. So that very different. McDonald's was a staple in our house. And I just remember that eating ice cream with my dad. And, it was something we did. And then we do ice cream dates, and it soothed really hard times. And he would catch the drippies, which means he would be like, okay, I'm going to eat half of your ice cream and pretend that I'm catching the drippies. But I tried it a few times with my children and it did not work. They caught on to it way faster than I did when I was a kid. But, and then McDonald's ice cream also became the first food that I ate that was outside what I allowed myself after I dealt with anorexia. And so as I was kind of refeeding back, and I know we'll probably do an episode on eating disorders because that's definitely related to food, but it was a choice I remember making that this was something I felt like I could safely do to try and refeed, from a really dark place. So yeah, I do love ice cream.
That kind of makes me crave some soft serve right now. It's also because it's hot out finally in Montana.
Well, and it's a toss a coin as to whether or not the ice cream machine at McDonald's is even working. Yeah. But when it's working, it's usually really, really good. Okay. So go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, do you have any memories that are of when you were young that are negative? Besides you're right. The eating disorder topic is such a big one that I want to talk about that more. But like a less intense maybe childhood memory.
Well, I just remember my parents were one that you had to clean your plate. And so when I didn't like something, and I feel like I didn't know when I was younger that I'm a texture eater. And so if the texture is off, it was really difficult. I mean, gag reflex, all the things. And of course, I have a strong will. And so I would sit at the table for hours.
Like what kind of texture? What kind of foods?
I know that if I perceive it as a little bit mushy or slimy or raw or something like that, that's something that really is difficult for me. And my husband laughs about that, but it's just one of those things. And so my dad, he grew up eating liver and onions, and liver just has an off flavor, and I just remember sitting at the table for hours before finally they relented and just let me go to bed. But I sat there for hours because I just could not bring myself to do that. And it's also interesting that there are other foods for me, sheep, any kind of lamb, any kind of goat product. It's just something my palate can't take. And I've heard people are like that with cilantro too, that there are certain things that some people taste it like soap and some people taste regular. But for me, that's goat cheese for me. And so anything that has that on it, I just can't. So it's just an interesting thing as you get to figure out how you respond to different foods.
I'm with you on the lamb. I can't do it. My mom is forever telling me about some great lamb chops she had or offering to make me lamb chops. And I'm like, no, thank you for the 80th time.
My feelings have not changed about this topic.
They're never going to.
Right.
I had a similar, you just made me think of another childhood memory, but it's kind of the same as yours. But it's funny to me now, because now I'd be like, give this to me. My dad is a fly fisherman. And when he would serve us his fish, I would sit there and refuse. And he would say, you're going to finish that. The thing is, I don't really remember how it ended, but I remember just the battle of the wills and how much I hated it. And, we're talking fresh Montana trout. And back then,
now you would jump at the chance.
And now people pay a lot of money for that, and back then, and my dad will still pull one out of the river and be like, here you go. But I haven't had that opportunity for a long time. He doesn't live here any longer. He lives in Washington, but yeah. And he was like, just put this lemon on it and this parsley and it'll be great. And it grossed me out. And also, like I said, I was a vegetarian later. So, but I've always had this, I'm a big animal person, and it made me sad. He would fish in front of me and I would cry when he took the hook out of when the fish was flopping around, all that, big giant, baby about animals over here. So that didn't help, but I hated the taste too. And, he was mad that I wouldn't eat the fish and that I didn't appreciate the fish,
Yeah.
So I always tell him now how much I appreciate it, because that's great to catch your own food. Obviously I'm on board with that,
Yeah.
but
well, I think that too, I think fish has always been an issue for me too, because my mom would always cook it with lemon pepper.
Mm.
Everything had lemon pepper, or it was fish stew. So it would start off in different pots, and all of a sudden it would all end up in the same pot. And she loves to experiment, but I am not an experimenter that way, where even if flavors don't go well together, she's still putting them together just in case. And so yes, that probably made me less adventurous because of those opportunities. I'll call them opportunities that I had when I was younger.
Does your mom still do that? Does she still cook like that?
Yep, she totally does. And she would watch my kids. And one day, my daughter came out with a bowl of ice cream that she decided she was going to pour buffalo sauce on top of, because she's like, I think grandma would like this. This tastes good. I'm going to try it out. So definitely had an effect. She only did that once. Maybe it was the new thing that will be around the corner in cuisine, but to me that was a sign that maybe I need to cook more or something.
That's so funny. That makes me think of my Aunt Mary, who I also kind of want to do a whole episode on. My Aunt Mary, she is a creature from a different era, and her food, I showed Abby, our friend Abby, a recipe of hers once that she had emailed to me. Abby read it and said, that is not a recipe. That is a memoir. Like, it is crazy. It's long. It makes no sense. But also it's kind of that, like, she's throwing all this stuff together that I'm like.
So is she writing it herself?
This one she did. Yes. Some of them.
In old fashioned cursive?
She does have old fashioned cursive.
I love
oh my gosh.
old-fashioned
I
cursive.
have it in my cookbook. I have a like 3-ring binder that's now my cookbook, and I have a whole Aunt Mary section. That's why we could talk about it. And the way her language is so funny, the way she describes how to do anything is hilarious. But like, I'm like, coconut and curry powder and sour cream and raisins do not go together, but to her they do.
Yes.
And that recipe is called junk pile, which sounds about right. So anyway, that makes me think of some people. It's your palate, but
yeah,
like you said, it's what you're used to, or it's what you could. Palates can change, but mostly, like, I'm never gonna like lamb. I'm never going to like shrimp. I know everybody out there is crying because
I do love shrimp.
Everybody loves shrimp except for me, I think, but I can't.
More shrimp for me. So there you go.
That's true.
So did you guys, I know that your mom worked and you did TV dinners and things like that, but did you ever sit around the table?
We did a little bit before the divorce. But after that, no, like the family, it became much harder. I know my mom wanted to. My mom, I think really tried, but my sister and I were too crazy. And once we moved to France again, that changed everything. So the divorce happened. And then a few years later, we moved to France. And after that, when we came back, we were in high school.
Mm-hmm.
So
how long were you there?
Just a year, school year, my 8th grade year. And what I missed was the baguettes, the bread, the bakeries.
I've heard about that.
Oh my goodness. To this day, I tell you what, that's we'll talk about this more later, but top 5 foods, baguettes, one of them.
Really?
French baguette. Oh yeah. I could live on those things. That was the only thing I was sad to leave behind. So, but yeah, we didn't do like a sit down dinner. And then even when we did, it was nothing like that brought together like fond family memories in our home. Cause the family wasn't doing well, but, we did have, I do have fond memories of like giant holiday dinners with extended family, like crazy Aunt Mary, because she was funny and like, entertained us, and, had some other relatives that did that. So did you guys sit around the table?
I feel like my family tried to. My dad was a doctor though, and so he did a lot of shifts at the hospital late, and he would get called out, and we eventually moved away from that. Of course, when I was younger, one of those examples of you have to sit at the table until you finish your food. But now that I look back, I wish we had done that more. Even with my own family, we've always done more. We sit together, but maybe it's on the couch or maybe it's somewhere else. We don't always sit at the table. And now we don't have a table. The table is our podcast table in the other room. I was like, this is a great podcast table. We never use it. But in my head, I would have loved to do that. And I think in the reality of busyness, that's something that fell to the wayside, which, of course you can always start new memories. So,
yeah, well, I think that's common. I think it's the rarity to see a family that does that, especially on a regular basis. I think I know some families that do, but I definitely think that's the exception to the rule. Mm-hmm. It's just the American way is we're all going in different directions at different times, and that affects our food lives, you know?
Yeah. All right. So, what food makes you think of happiness?
Oh my. Well, besides baguettes,
Maybe that's the answer.
no, well, these don't go together, but my next favorite is Tom Yum Gai soup. So I worked at a Thai restaurant in college, and because I was near Seattle, there were a lot of Thai restaurants, which I had never come anywhere near. We had like two Asian, if you can call them that, restaurants in this town when I was growing up. And one of them had cheeseburgers on the menu, if that tells you anything. And the other one went out of business pretty quick.
Probably because they did not have cheeseburgers on the menu.
Totally. And I remember my mom liked it. My mom, even though she does not cook, she's got a adventurous palate. She's traveled, whatever. She's upscale like that. But so she loved that place. And then she'd bring us food and we didn't like it. We wouldn't eat it. And so I didn't have any exposure to that. And then I worked at this Thai restaurant for 4 years, and that was a great education because, when you work in a restaurant, they give you a free meal usually at the end. And so I tried everything. And that was my favorite. Tom Yum Gai is a lemongrass soup with vegetables. Tom Yum Gai is chicken. Tom Yum Jay is vegetables. And I like both. And it's about the broth anyway. And the rice. I love fragrant Thai foods.
She just makes me hungry
I know.
every time that I hear her say these things.
I mean, I make it at home a lot now, and now I can buy it in this town, which is amazing. There's restaurants that sell it, and it's not quite as good, I maintain, as where I worked, but it's pretty close.
That's awesome.
So that makes me think of happiness. That also makes me think of comfort. There are nights when I'm like, I can't do it. I can't cook. I can't think. I'm getting takeout, but it really makes me happy. Like, it brings me joy. It's a celebratory meal to me.
Yeah.
What about you?
Well, of course, I love the ice cream. That is comfort for me, and happiness and joy and being a kid and all that kind of stuff. But I love anything pumpkin, whether it's pumpkin pie, pumpkin bread, it could be any time of the year. I embrace it. And
I didn't know that about you.
It's so yummy, and I feel like it's good for you. There's element of having pumpkin in there, and is that a fruit or a vegetable?
Oh dear.
It's got seeds.
Oh no. I got to consult my Barbara Kingsolver book.
Yes, we'll have to go and consult our brains for that. But I do. I love something that's breads that are moist. I love pumpkin pie, and probably because I also love fall and Thanksgiving and things like that. And so I just always feel thankful and happy when I eat it.
Do you have any foods that make you think about, that evoke travel and adventure?
Ooh, travel and adventure. I think pizza. For me, just because what we used to do is we go to a new place. For example, we used to live in Texas, my husband and I, and so we would head to Austin and we would find a pizza place. And I still remember the Mellow Mushroom, which is like one of the best pizza. Even now I do the copycat crust for the Mellow Mushroom. And we do these pizza nights too, when we have people come over and everybody can make their own pizza and be their own chef. And
I was lucky to be there for one of those.
It's
two.
My favorite. We need to have another one because it's been a while since we've done them. But there's just so much camaraderie that comes about when you're around pizza. And that's probably one of the staples in our lives, different kinds of pizzas. We had it for lunch today. It was very yummy. And, and yeah, I think that would be the travel thing, because I think we've always looked for a new cool pizza joint in a new city that we go to.
See,
what about you?
In that way, you're much more adventurous than me. I was going to say purse cheese, literally. Like, because I have a hard time traveling. I think I have a little PTSD from my France year. We did some traveling when we were over there to some other countries, and just getting there at that time, I think about my suit. You should have seen my suitcase. Like, it was the size of this room. Yeah. It was like from the 70s. It was so difficult. Anyway, and I had a whole bag of like cassette tapes to listen to.
I have a picture of little Katie.
Oh my
having
goodness.
all that stuff with
I had
her.
so much stuff. Anyway, and so I don't love traveling. I love the foods of different cultures if I could just get beamed there. But when I think about going somewhere and I don't know what to expect, that's a hard thing. Again, my control issues. But if I don't know what's coming at me, if I don't know what food is going to be available to me, I will put a thing of Gouda in my purse. Mm-hmm. And that I associate that with going somewhere. when my husband and I went to Yellowstone a couple of weekends ago, just for like a day trip, I brought some purse cheese and I think a baguette from the local bakery, which is not as good, but it's there. And that'll get me through wherever I'm going, you know?
Yeah, for
So.
sure. What about joy? Joy is a good feeling. What is a food that gives you joy?
Oh, I am going to say strawberries. I feel like strawberries, like it's probably because they look so pretty too to me. I love the way strawberries look. They're so beautiful and cheerful. The bright red. I'm thinking about this. I just ate one that I grew today. I always grow strawberries, but they don't produce much. But I got one this morning.
But even the small ones are so sweet when you grow them yourself.
And something about it is like so simple and happy. I don't know. Like I make smoothies usually for breakfast in the morning, and sometimes I have fresh strawberries. But in the winter, you know, I'm not usually gonna buy fresh strawberries because they're not in season, right? Mm-hmm. They're available, but those strawberries had to travel and use a lot of resources to get here. So I'm a big fan of the frozen fruits for the smoothies in the winter.
Yeah.
So when those things are around, like, and I don't feel guilty, I do feel a lot of joy, not just because of the guilt, but because, like I said, they're the cheerful.
Like you need that to replace the guilt.
Yeah. They're such a cheerful fruit to me, and I love the taste. I love strawberry jam. I love strawberry desserts. Like I'm not a big dessert person. I love to bake and make things, but I don't usually allow myself eating a lot of desserts because I'm afraid I'll never stop, I think. Because usually if I like it, it's going. That was one of the other things I ate in France too, was strawberry tarts. They have these gorgeous, all the bakeries have gorgeous tarts with fresh fruit, all different kinds. And I got to the point where I was getting one like every other day on my way to school. Yeah. And they're very sweet, but they're like, you know, that big. And just strawberries, custard, and a little crust. So yeah, I think strawberries are my joyful food.
And wow, I have a new perspective of strawberries now. They are a joyful food now that I think about it.
Yeah.
When I think about my own, although I don't do a lot of cooking savory meals and things like that, I do love to make desserts and bake bread. And I love making bread from scratch. And so for me, fresh baked bread is got to be probably one of my joy foods, because I just love the whole process of the yeast and the rising and then the kneading. I've never actually made one with a bread machine because it's so therapeutic to me to knead the bread and then to have it just like grow and then build into this beautiful loaf that you can have the crust glistening with butter and just that. Every time I cut into a fresh loaf and the steam rises,
did you get into this for any did anybody teach you, or did you just one day be like, I'm interested in baking bread? Like
one day I just decided to bake bread, and my husband Austin loves homemade bread. And so he was very happy that I decided to do this, but it just became something I would do on, I think it was usually Sundays, and Sunday afternoon I would I'd have to have a good 2.5 to 3 hours set aside to do that. And it just made the whole house smell good. And I think that, and then I started making it into I started going outside my box, and I would make it into pepperoni rolls and different things. And it just became something that I did, and it brought joy to other people. And I think that's probably why it brought joy to me.
Yeah,
for sure.
Gosh, that's making me hungry too. I love bread. I started baking bread because my stepmother talked about how that was a sign of, I don't remember what when I was in high school or college, she said, I used to make my own bread. I used to make my own clothes. I don't know, something about that. I said, I can make my own bread too. Mm-hmm. And I got into it, and same as you, like I love it's so therapeutic. And I did have a bread machine once, and that kind of killed it for me. I mean, it saves you time, but I want to get my hands in there, and the smell, oh my gosh.
There's nothing that beats the smell of fresh baked bread.
And I like to have in college, I would do this a lot. After I started baking this bread, I would make a big giant soup too, like with a bunch of vegetables and I don't know, whatever I had on hand. And then like the warm bread with butter, dipping it in the soup. Pretty joyful also. Yeah. That's another joyful food. I think I like soup.
I think you do too, which is crazy because I am not a lover of soup. When you were talking about the chicken noodle soup when you were sick as being something that was a good memory, that's actually, that food makes me think of sickness. And so, because broth and things like that, was something that was really hard for me to want a palate when I was sick. I was like, no, I'm not sick. I don't want chicken soup. I don't. And my mom was just like, you have to, you have to, you have to. So we had talked about like what potential foods might make us think of sickness. And that was one of mine. And so I think it's just so interesting how you can look at things from a different perspective. You know what I mean?
Totally.
Do you have a sickness food that you
I'm sure I do, but the only thing that's popping to my mind, and this is probably because on the drive over here, I passed the Bozeman Hot Springs, which is where this occurred when I was about 8. I overdosed on Whoppers.
Oh,
So anything with with malt going on, like
I thought you meant a Burger King Whopper.
Oh, sorry, the candies. You're like,
yes, I can see how that could happen with a regular Whopper.
Yeah, sorry, the candies. And I don't know. I overate and I think I threw up. And to this day, it gags me. Like anything with malt makes me very, very gaggy. But like the way that you're talking about it, more like, a food that you associate with being sick. I think for me, it's just something that would make me throw up.
Yeah.
That's one of my least favorite activities.
Yeah, for sure. I will say that although not traditionally a fan of broth. Now, this is a little TMI. I feel like we can do that on this podcast too. But when I was prepping for my colonoscopy, I could not eat anything except for broth. And that was comforting for me. So it salvaged a little bit in my mind. Chicken broth became something that wasn't that bad.
That's good. I am not looking forward to the colonoscopy situation, but it's in my future. So I was talking about my morning smoothies. Do you have a morning breakfast or like drink food that you start your day with? Besides like coffee or tea? Everybody seems to have that.
Or Diet Mountain Dew. That's probably something that I love. I love bagels. I tend to be more of a ritualistic eater in the mornings, and unless something else pops up. So when my husband's home, he works offshore. So he's got a 3-week on, 3-week off schedule. So when it's just me, I typically will grab a bagel or have like peanut butter and jelly on a English muffin or something like that. And when he's home, he always cooks eggs and bacon, and he will cook up the best eggs, bacon with like Cajun hot spices and fresh jalapenos.
Wow.
And the cheese is just like melty and it's so yummy. And so when I am lucky enough to get that, is probably my favorite breakfast. Although a good bagel could trump that sometimes.
That makes me think of my breakfast dream foods, which I don't know. The more we talk, the more I'm like, oh yeah, this is also a very joyful or comforting food, but shredded hash browns, which I can make at home, but that is labor intensive in my experience to make them the way I want them to be. So in this fancy town, all our breakfast places, there's like 2 left that you can get shredded hash browns at. Everybody else does those cut up seasoned home fries, which
Cat Eye is one, right?
Yeah. Oh, for the shredded?
Yes.
No.
Do they? Oh.
No.
Huh.
And I used to work there and I eat there all the time, as you know, but they've never had shredded. Main Street over Easy.
Gotcha.
And the Western, and actually also the Grand Tree. There's 3.
We're definitely plugging some of these Bozeman restaurants because we have so many good ones.
You guys could go ahead and sponsor us. I'll just say that.
Oh. Anytime.
But yeah, like oh man, it's hard to make those at home, but I love them. They're so good. And I'm afraid they're like going extinct. So I hope not.
Well, and my daughter went through a phase of really liking them, but she would get the dehydrated ones in a box in Costco. Oh. And she would just make that into a fabulous meal. And I think that also takes a little bit of time because you have to rehydrate them and then cook them. But she just had the touch. She when she loves something, she's going to perfect it and make it amazing. And finally, I was like, Kate, can you make some for me too? And they were very yummy. So I agree. Shredded potatoes are fabulous. Do you have a guilty pleasure food?
Oh, yes, I do. I have lots. Well, okay. Number 1, Twinkies.
Really?
Yes.
Frozen or not?
I've never had a frozen Twinkie.
What? They are.
I didn't know that was a thing.
It is a thing, but maybe not everybody enjoys them as much as me.
It sounds like a good idea in the summer when it's hot.
So where did that come from?
I think it came from my parents feeding me like brown whole foods as a child. Like or TV dinners, but like we never were like, I always wanted like sugar cereals and I wanted soda and I wanted all the treats. My cousins always had all that stuff. And so in the summer, we have a cabin on a lake up north. And in the summertime, we'd go to my cousin's house a lot. And she had like these treats like everywhere. I was like, Mom. And I will never forget the sound of both my parents being like, you're paying for the packaging. And also it's full of chemicals. Like they are like raging hippies or they were, except for again, the TV dinners. But that was, I think, because of desperate times. But they were really, and maybe that was, now that I'm saying this out loud, they were trying to be probably like good parents and not give us what they considered to be garbage. They also taught me, well, guess what? When I have my own $5 from babysitting, guess what I'm going to buy? Lucky Charms and Twinkies. Like, yeah, that's another one, Lucky Charms. But I'll eat that like in one sitting. I'll eat a box.
I love Lucky Charms. Like I went through a phase of that's all I had. If I think about breakfasts and things like that, those little marshmallows. So
I know.
yummy.
I mean, but I would never eat it for breakfast. I would eat it for like after dinner, like it was like dessert to me. But like those kinds of things, those specifically. And I don't know. They would buy us like Twin Pops, those like frozen popsicles that you'd break in half. That was about the extent, and that was only in the summer because it was hot. And then, they were like, you're welcome. But I was like, but my cousin Liv over here's got the Schwan man. She's got those like push pops and she's got, like, I don't know, there was junk food everywhere, chips, Cheetos. And so I never did learn to like Cheetos, by the way. I still don't like Cheetos.
Really?
Yeah.
I do love the Cheetos.
I don't know. That one didn't get through to me, but I think everybody loves Cheetos too. But what's a guilty pleasure food for you?
Oh, 100% raw cookie dough. I love raw cookie dough. I just can't even, it's just so good. And I'm not advocating that in the case that you could get salmonella, but even weightlifters used to drink raw eggs. I mean, it's just good. And I know that you can also make raw cookie dough without the eggs. I think you put sour cream or yogurt or something in Greek yogurt, maybe instead of the eggs. And in the case that you just feel like you need to have it without, but I even remember buying the tubes of Pillsbury dough and just like scoop a chunk out of that. Just, it just made the day even better. So yeah, I do love the raw cookie dough for sure.
I do like it too. It's not something that
I like it better than
baked.
Of. I just, I would prefer the raw cookie dough to baked cookies.
Yeah, I think I do too. And I like if I bake my own cookies, then I'm going to probably eat a lot of dough, because it's right there.
So I have a question. I know that you cook a lot. You're just somebody that always, I'm going home to make dinner. And so do you have go-to things that you make, or how do you decide on your menu?
Well, that's a great question. It's a mixture. It's a nice mixture for me of, again, control and what I have on hand, and then what my body like is literally craving that day. And occasionally if my husband requests something, but he usually eats whatever I throw at him. So, but sometimes he'll request something and I'm happy to make it just because cooking is so joyful to me. But so I kind of every day I credit my France time with this. I'm like, this is a daily thing. It's like, I have a really hard time.
So you don't pre-plan?
No, that's why I don't shop at Costco also, I think is one of the reasons. Like I want to go to the store on my way home and I do usually. And I like to go to different stores all the time too. I like to bop around, but, so yeah, I really try not to waste anything. So I was telling Austin earlier that, I had this half of a roasted chicken because on a Sunday, I like to stick a small chicken in the crock pot, throw a lemon and an onion there, walk away. And it's like 8 hours later, there's dinner. And, but we often don't finish it. So I had this half of a chicken, so anyway, I try not to waste anything. So I made chicken enchiladas and I just had to buy a couple of things that I wanted in there. I already had beans, I already had corn, I already had enchilada sauce, but I wanted cilantro. I wanted, I don't know, green chili peppers of some kind. And, but yeah, I do try to rotate, and I have a book I read that I much believe in by Michael Pollan. If anyone knows he's a big food writer. He wrote The Omnivore's Dilemma, which is a really well-known food book. And, he wrote a small little, like, I don't know how to describe it, a teeny little book that like would fit in your pocket with 3 sections. And, I learned a lot from that, but anyway, it's all these little factoids that some of them that I was like, oh, that sounds like a wives' tale, but apparently it's not. He's a scientist as well. He always like backs up his findings and stuff. So, anyway, it's scientifically proven that if you do eat the same things over and over, if they are whole foods, that's healthier for you. So I kind of do that. Like,
interesting.
Yeah, like I'll do Mexican, Italian, Asian, like every week, something, not the exact same dishes, but I that's kind of part of it. And then, like I said, on the other nights, I might be like, well, what do I have that I can just throw together? Or I might just really be craving Thai food that I want to make myself.
Yeah.
That was a long answer.
Well, do you have recipes or do you just go through it in your head?
I rarely use recipes anymore. I mostly go through it in my head because I've been doing it for so many
of food.
Yes. And I've been doing it for so many years, even before I was married, some of these things I've been making for myself.
Mm-hmm.
And then when I got married, I started making them for him. And like I said, luckily he likes most of the things I make.
Yeah. I think when my kids were young, that's probably what stopped me from cooking meals, because when we first got married, we'd have spaghetti nights, we'd do some hamburger helper type things. But there'd be something every night. And then the kids got older and we're going back and forth. And then they really like, chicken nuggets. And so then I was making chicken nuggets and something else, and then things would get wasted. And so then I was like, okay, we're just scrounging, and I think that became a pattern without me even realizing it. And then it just happened. So yeah, I am always talking about, I want to be motivated to do more cooking. And actually, honestly, through this podcast, I'm hoping that is what you rub off on me. That is exactly what I would love to do. But I feel like just sitting here across the table with you has been everything I've always hoped it would be. Our ability to converse as friends, but also I love your thoughts, and I love that you share them so readily with others.
Thank you, Peggy.
You're welcome.
And I love that same thing about you. And I love that we complement each other with our approaches to food and the way we live with food and probably other stuff. But it's a common ground that everybody shares. And I wish that more people talked about more. There's so much to say.
Yeah, there really is. And thankfully that this is only episode number 1. And so there are lots of fun things to come, and I'm excited about this venture.
Yes, me too. I thank you so much for doing this today. And anyone listening, go buy a vegetable, have a great day, eat a Twinkie.
Maybe a strawberry. Or some pumpkin bread. Maybe. I don't know.
Maybe go bake a loaf of bread.
Hey, that time. Sounds like a great idea.
And with that, it has been our pleasure. We'll see you next time.
Bye.
Hey guys, it's Katie. I just wanted to say thank you on behalf of Peggy and me. We love recording these episodes of Purse Cheese, and we appreciate you being with us.
Hey guys, it's Peggy. Don't forget to like and subscribe and hit your notification button so you know when the next episode of Purse Cheese is released. Thanks for listening.